Hi, everyone. This is Paul Scalzo with Westchester Modular Homes, and I'm excited to be here again today to talk about stick construction versus modular home construction. And I'm super excited. Today we have with us Joe Enright, General Manager of Westchester Modular Homes of Fairfield County, Inc. And Joe has been doing this a long time. So without further ado, Joe.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks for taking the time to be here. How long have you been doing modular homes?
I've been doing modular homes about 25 years. Started out in the field and right to running the company here.
That's a long time. So when you say you run the company, give us an idea of what you do on a daily basis.
Basically, we have a sales team here at Westchester Modular Homes, Fairfield County, and we have 3 or 4 construction managers. And basically, what I do is I coordinate from new sales right through from the beginning part of the process right through to the end with our construction managers are running the jobs out there on site. So pretty much the every day of what it takes to build your house from the beginning till the end, I'm involved.
So the first thing I'm going to ask you, which I didn't ask David last week, the home consultant, we're in an era where prices are very hard to control. I mean, I'm hearing it from other stick builders I talked to. They can't control the price of housing, to somebody that was building an apartment complex this week who told me that his lumber went from $300,000 to $400,000 on a 30-unit building. So tell me how the factory is able to control prices versus me as somebody as a stick builder going out and going to a lumberyard.
Yeah, we are absolutely dealing with the same issues, but we are definitely at an advantage. When you build, like Westchester Modular does at a factory, building 300 homes a year, they have great buying power, and they also, they're more in tune, I would say, to the cost and the cost changing than somebody out there in the field just doing 1 or 2 stick builds. So the factory obviously has to pre-buy a lot of stuff, and they buy in bulk. So that helps us with the material price increases, and we can see them coming long in advance.
Yeah, I think that's key, the long in advance. So let me tell you what I was told. So this guy was getting ready to build the home. He was quoting in advance, and a local lumberyard told him, listen, we don't even want to quote you today. We'll quote you when you're ready to order the lumber, which, it's kind of crazy. How do you price it for the people? So when you're dealing with the factory, and do they give you a lot of lead time on a price increase so you can say to your people, or you can budget properly and say, hey, this is happening in 3 months, 2 months? Is that how it works?
Yeah, we've been getting basically monthly updates on. There's really two charges, you could call it a material surcharge and price increases. Materials have, I've read in all different places, they've doubled in the last 6 months or so. But then you have material price increases. It affects everybody down the line, from Anderson Windows to any other different company that we buy from or the factory buys from. So we're updated monthly. We have seen the material price increase decrease a bit. I said material increase. The material price increase decrease a bit, not just increase, which was good, and then it has subsequently went up a bit.
So how much lead time do you get?
Well, we're updated monthly, and I know the houses that we're building, we know 2 months in advance before we have to purchase the materials. So that's an advantage. So we can pre-buy, we can lock our clients in, probably a good 90 days in advance, so they don't have to worry about any more of these increases.
Well, that's huge, and I'm just going to say it for anybody listening. So a 2-month lead time versus going into a lumberyard and telling me that the day I order the home, I'm going to find out how much the price increase was. So in essence, somebody coming and buying a home from you, if they deliver it within that 2-month period, they're guaranteed the price that you quoted, correct?
They are, yes. Okay. As long as we release a house for production in the area that we projected. And really the key to modular home construction is controlling the cost. And this is just another example. This is another example of controlling your cost with price increases in something that we're dealing with now.
So I got a little off track there. What I wanted to talk about today was the factory, how they build a stick-built indoors versus building a stick-built outdoors.
Yeah.
So can you just start from the beginning, like cutting the lumber, and then I'll get into some of the details of how it gets framed and everything. So When I build a stick-built house, they deliver the lumber, right? And then I separate it and start measuring it and stuff. What do they do at a factory?
So at the factory, we basically, when you go through production, you're working off basically a dolly system. You're building on jigs. So basically, we have a machine there, or Westchester has a machine that does all the cutting of materials, and it's actually a machine that they bought probably 25 plus years ago, and it basically has 5 different saw blades that it takes one person to operate it, and it's to program it and to feed it. So this is a very precise process, because as we go through production, there's no levels or leveling anything. Everything has to be precise. So it's done in a mechanical fashion with lumber that's all kiln dry, so it's not going to move after we put it together. So it's just a precise process.
So after they cut the lumber, tell me a little bit about the process of how it's built in the factory and why I can say that it's a stick built in a factory versus a stick built outside.
Well, we always say that we're stick builders. We just build indoors instead of outdoors. It's the same thing. When you're stick building a modular home, we're going to start at the deck. We're going to start with our 2x10s, putting on 16 inches on center. We're going to put plywood on top. And then that deck goes to the next spot in production, which might be the walls. Just like you would do on site, you would stick frame your walls. And then from there, you would go to your next deck, and then so on and so forth. So the actual framing part of it is very similar, but it's built in components and then put together.
So I've always been told this saying that modulars are built from the inside out versus the outside in. Can you explain that on the wall, what that means?
Yeah, so if you can picture, just take an electrician, for instance. An electrician is typically on a stick-built house out in the field, is inside the house, and they're drilling holes in the studs, and they're pulling the wires through, and they're getting ready to get the insulation and do the drywall. Well, it's kind of the opposite in a factory. So that stick builder that was out in the field had plywood on the outside, so he's inside the house. Well, we do it the opposite. So if you have your stick-built modular box inside the factory, we actually put the drywall on first. So if you put the drywall on first, obviously you can't work from the inside, so we work from the outside. So that electrician would be outside the box, drilling holes and pulling wires, and then after the insulation and stuff goes on, then the plywood finishes off the job on the outside, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes sense. And when you said the sheetrock is put on, how is it installed?
The sheetrock is actually glued in place. It's a 2-part bonding agent that bonds the drywall to the stud. So there's 2 advantages to it, or many advantages, but the main advantage is the strength. Whenever you're transporting something down the road and we're picking up by a crane, wherever we can find strength in that box, we're going to find it. So that's one aspect for the strength. And then think about it. Some folks out there might be living in a house now and there's nail pops in the walls or in the ceilings. Well, we don't use screws to fasten the drywall to the studs. We glue it, so that eliminates any nail popping or what have you in the home. The last thing I would say that's another advantage is every board that you buy, every interior stud or whatever it might be, they all have crowns. They're not all perfect. It's a natural product, even though ours are kiln dry. When you actually glue a piece of drywall to that stud, it ends up being a straight board. So it doesn't follow any crown of any board. So it's really a nice finished product.
So at the factory, let's talk about material then. So they bring everything in by train or by truck?
The truckload, yeah.
Okay, they bring it in by truck. They inventory it. Mm-hmm. So when this house is being built, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but how quick is a house being built in the factory?
Let's just say a typical home is typically 4 to 5 boxes. By the time it starts, like you started off this conversation, as a pile of wood and starting with the framing till when it comes out the door, it's usually about 5 to 6 days. So in 5 to 6 days, your 4-box colonial, let's say 2,200 square foot house, that's how long it'll take us to build it in the factory.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So now I want to get into what you can do in the factory. Mm-hmm. So what do I get installed? Is my toilet installed? Is the tile installed? Are cabinets installed? Are light fixtures installed?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what you can do.
Well, really, I mean, you can basically, bathrooms, like you started off with, we can 100% do a bathroom. In other words, when you walk into that bathroom the day of the set, you are going to walk on tile floor that's completely finished and grouted. You're going to turn around, you're going to see the vanity. It's going to have the mirror, the paper towel holders or the toilet paper holders, and the towel bars all installed. So the bathroom is 100%. All of the, the bath fans installed, curtain rods in. So in my world, with my job supers and what I say is we put that to bed. It's done, and then you can move on to the next thing. A bedroom's fully painted, light fixtures in the middle. The switch plates are all on. I mean, it's all done. Typically, I don't do any flooring besides tile in the factory. We either ship loose our carpet or we'll do like wood flooring on site. So that's an example of something that has to be done after the set.
And if I don't like the options that you're giving me, it sounds like you can only inventory so much stuff. So if I didn't like your carpet sample or your tile, what I guess I go out and get it on my own. Is that how you do it?
Yeah, no. Well, we go beyond that. We're a total turnkey operation here. So if there's something that's not done at the factory, either we'll look at some of our standard product that we use here, or if you want a special order something, absolutely, we'll do whatever you want, whatever special flooring you may want or tile. But the key to the game and where you definitely get the best value out of Modular Home is definitely try to work with their buying power and what they do regularly, and what Westchester does has great product. And that's where the value is going to stay better for a family or whoever's building.
All right, I'm jumping around with my questions, but so the modular home is built in 6 days. It's got to go down a highway and so forth and so on. But are the walls, let's say 2x4, 2x6, do they differ between stick building and the modular, or has everybody got the same size lumber throughout the house?
It's 95% the same lumber. I mean, we do have what's called a marriage wall where the two boxes come together. So if you had a 4-box modular home, which would typically be a colonial, the first floor boxes where they come together, we call a marriage wall. Those are two by 3 walls. So two by 3 walls come together, make a marriage wall. It's a nice soundproofing between bedrooms or whatever, and a solid aspect of our home.
So now I'm delivering my home, let's say. When it gets there and it's gone down a highway over whatever road I'm on, and you're lifting it onto the foundation, does everything stay intact? I mean,
Absolutely.
Is there any issues I need to know about?
Well, I mean, when you deal with us, I mean, I can only speak for 800 homes that we built through our Fairfield County office, let's say. Well, the factory's on house number 7,000 or 8,000. So we've done it quite a number of times. Not everything's perfect in construction, but I can tell you, you're going to get about as perfect as you can get dealing with Westchester, especially in the area that I build. They bring their own crane. The transporters that bring the boxes to us are factory owned, along with the trailer. So it's a well-oiled machine for sure, and we figured it out where the problems are minimal, if any.
Wow. Okay, so anything else you can think of in the factory that I'm not thinking of that would be a differentiator from modular versus stick? Roof system, anything, the height of the house, anything like that?
Yeah, I would say, a few things. I mean, first thing that comes to mind is a modular home is designed to, like I said earlier, transport, be picked up by a crane. We use about 20% more lumber in the home. So it's such a very structural sound home. Some of the people that I talk to that have lived in stick-built homes and then they go into a modular, they just say, they call me 6 months later and say, this home is so solid, I can't believe it. It's like a tank, they say. And they really are well built because they have to be. And then the other thing is, very efficient homes. Now with the new energy code, it seems like everybody's catching up to us now. Modular homes are very tight homes because they have to be. They're glued and they're put together. So they're very efficient. We always get, again, calls about the energy efficiency, how their electric bill or their heat bill is so much less than in their past home. So It's those are two main key points. There, otherwise, there's cathedral ceilings, there's 9-foot ceilings we can do, and I know you can do that out in the field, but it really is. It needs to be a trained eye to go through and figure out, is this a modular home or not. After we're complete and we do our full turnkey process, you really don't know the difference.
Great. So I want to end with that today, Joe. Thank you so much for coming in and taking the time. I'd like my final one to be really how the client deals with the modular home company during the process and the additional warranties they may get because it's a modular home versus a stick built. So thank you very much for coming in today.
Okay, thank you.